case. I mean, it has to do with the ingredients and also the way it was developed. A lot of the things it's supposed to protect you against knowingly grow, change, and mutate over time. So that's one reason why it's hard to target with mass vaccinations. But the other side of it is the thimerosal and the other ill ingredients that they throw in there as kind of a sociological goodie. You've heard Alex on this issue before. I mean, I would just encourage you to research it because I can't tell you some silver bullet key here. Any other words, Kyle?
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. I also have one comment on the Ron Paul campaign. When one hears about a secession, or when people in such a state as Texas speak of a secession, and I think that leads kind of to an option of just declaring, because with the bloodlines of the Illuminati, with Dick Cheney being related to Bush, or however you want to look at it, I think at some point we should all just claim Ron Paul as our president. Because when the media all over every single channel says he can't become president, he won't be president, he's not going to be able to be president. Well, actually, in terms of bloodlines and such, maybe that is the case, and maybe it's time for us just to claim him as our president.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, to me, that fits in with what I think is the archetypal theme of I am Spartacus. When Spartacus led the slave rebellion in Rome prior to the Caesars, they went looking for him in the countryside, at least as depicted in the movie. I'm not sure if it's entirely historically accurate, but they began to say, where is Spartacus? Where is he? And all the commoners stood up and said, I am Spartacus. No, I'm Spartacus. In other words, who are you going to take? Are you free humanity? Are we going to stand up for ourselves and declare that we're not part of this takeover system? We see through it, and people like Ron Paul represent the idea of that true freedom, and that's why so many people have gathered to support him. I think it's a great idea to declare Ron Paul is my president. I think they have bumper stickers to that effect already. I've got a note here. Not one vaccine has ever been tested with concern to cancer. I'm not sure what the source is on that, but I mean, yeah, do your own research. There's all kinds of shenanigans and ill plans with the vaccines. I don't want to get any more into that today, though. Patrick in New York, let's see what you have. Thanks for the call there.
Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I just wanted to talk about, the educational system in this country, especially college, I'm in college right now. I'm in community college, and, I noticed I'm taking a world politics class, and it is the biggest propaganda lies that I've ever heard in my life. And somebody that's awake to this can obviously see it. Like, the whole entire textbook just talks about, solutions. It says, it says our problems, as the war, as to our economic crisis, and every solution that the book gives is global governance. And it's just, I think it's absolutely sickening, and I keep on pointing this out in class, and my professor is like, no, you don't know what you're talking about, and he tries to stop me from saying from essentially speaking my mind on these topics, and he just keeps on going on with the global governance is good, trust the UN. He goes into great detail about how great the UN is and how great the EU is, when in fact the EU is going under right before our eyes. I just want to know what you think about that.
Well, that is a big issue, Patrick. I mean, the history of education and the way it developed, particularly in the 20th century, is surprisingly shocking, but you could trace it back to, as Charlotte Iserby pointed out in our recent special, which you can find up on Prisonplanet TV, the extent to which Skull and Bones and other elitist families, the Rockefeller Foundation and more, really brought to life the modern education system, which did away largely with the classical education and brought in what you can call in many different ways conditioning and training. And then more broadly, they fund the textbooks and influence the people who write for the textbooks, the same people bankrolling the whole global government project. And they want to pitch it as inevitable. They want to make solutions seem simple and easy to understand. They want to promote this whole global society where everyone has these shared values and so forth. And it's definitely indoctrination in these schools, even if for well-meaning reasons. In some cases, there's a lot of good teachers in the system, but they are required to read from those textbooks. And we've showed you chapters on September 11th over the years in grade school and more. On the other hand, I went through UT's School of Government And yeah, I would have to concur. It is full of globalist propaganda. I'll keep it short for time's sake. Any other things, Patrick?
You know, and I just want to say, I did see Charlotte Iserbyt's, you know, I did see her work, and I was interested by it, you know, and always, like, a personal story with me, you know, ever since I was a young child, you know, I went to school, you know, and, like, when I was really little, like, I was always interested in learning. I loved learning, but I was never the person to do homework because I didn't want to submit to authority figures. That's the main thing. And, like, I would, you know, I wouldn't do any homework, you know, I'd probably fool around a little bit, and then when test time came, I'd get, like, high grades. You know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but, like, that would drive teachers completely up the wall because the main reason is, you know, I had a problem with authority, and that's basically what the American educational system is. It's more about submitting to authority, I feel, than to actually about learning.
Yeah, certainly. And I've seen people who perform well in school as well as those who did poorly all rolled over by the system and intimidated out of the great potential we have in ourselves. I mean, I don't want to get too much more into it today, but I certainly have a lot of thoughts on that subject. O'Brien, are you calling with the 1984 moniker, or is that your real name?
Yes, this is my real name.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you. I had a question for the other guest, but I guess I could ask you, well, how do we prepare for the hard times ahead that will be coming down the pike? Hello?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a complicated issue. I'm not really coming from a financial expert point of view, but you want to try to limit your exposure to what we know are fraudulent systems and try to make preparations in case you lose a job or have no opportunities in the coming markets. I mean, there's a lot more you can read on it. Gold and silver are a good thing to get a hold of as a reserve. But, yeah, you want to try to disconnect yourself from the parts that are falling apart and try to find opportunity where you can, I think. Jordan, let's take Justice in Michigan. Let's take your call now.
Hello, Aaron.
Hi, how you doing?
Pretty good. I've come up with a great idea for the movement, for liberty lovers, whatever. I know Alex says ideas are bulletproof. I've come up with a social network just for us. I've made it. I've built it. I put it together. It's filled with tons of Infowars material to others. And the address is patriotspot.wall.fm. If anybody would like to join there and check it out, they're welcome to join. I want to make another tool. I want to help. We need unity. We cannot win this without unity, and this is a place for together.
Yeah, right. Like minds have to get together. So tell us real quickly where that is, and then let's move on.
It's patriot.wall.fm.
Okay, thanks a lot. And now let's go to Jordan in Texas. Welcome.
Hey, Aaron, how's it going?
Oh, is this Gregory?
I've got a good idea for, this thing on Ron Paul, because as he's getting closer to winning, I believe, the GOP debate and everything, I think he's really getting pretty close. So I think what we need to start doing is start occupying the mainstream media's phone lines and their physical buildings. Or as my friend would say, the shame-stream media. But I really think we need to start occupying the phone lines and the mainstream media so we can and start demanding that Ron Paul gets more than just 89 seconds or a few minutes. Because they give him a few minutes, they give everybody else like 10, 12 minutes. And we need to start demanding that Ron Paul gets more time because he's getting closer to winning this thing.
Absolutely, and obviously they have been trying to black him out from media coverage in many ways in this cycle and in the 2008 cycle. It hasn't stopped him, but it has probably slowed him. And regardless of Ron Paul's position in this race, the whole system is fraudulent anyway. They write the election laws to favor the two parties. They put in these sham candidates who they know are going to go along with the establishment agenda, the global government agenda, the lobbyist agenda, and a whole lot more, which all becomes interrelated. Certainly, we should hit the mainstream media, let them know that this election is different. There are real issues in that election, and Ron Paul represents those ideas. I think it's a good idea to get that out for sure. Anything else, Gregory? I'm Jordan. Getting confused here.
No, man, Aaron, that's it.
All right, have a good one, and we'll be back on the other side. I'm going to hit one last news blitz, and of course, today is November 22nd. A lot of people have made the day of JFK's assassination a memorial to occupy and attempt to end the Fed. A lot of those protests are going on at Federal Reserve locations across the country. There's been other actions on the Fed this year. Maybe you should check that out. Infowars.com. We'll be back with more, and Alex back later. Stay tuned tonight, Infowars Nightly News. We are in the last segment. We'll hear from Alex again tomorrow. The rebroadcast coming up. And, of course, tonight on the Infowars Nightly News, we're going to get more into this breaking news, the new Iowa poll that places Ron Paul firmly in first with 25%. That's right. When they do honest polling, it produces a lot better results for our kind of candidates than when you see the mainstream people spinning and massaging the data to their own purposes. But that's the way elections go. They call it fighting dirty. We just want to let people know that Ron Paul does have support because of the ideas he supports, not because he's some kind of just figurehead leader like all the other candidates. Also in the news here on November 22nd, the day of JFK's assassination, 38 years ago in 1963, you have articles like this one in New York Magazine, What Killed JFK? Not who, but what. And people like Chris Matthews, who brought you the rise of the right wing and otherwise try to demonize the severe right wing hatred of Democratic presidents. He brought this point up, too, in relation to Obama. Let's cue some of that clip now.
Let me finish tonight with this. On a Friday morning in the fall of 1963, an American president traveled through Texas trying to figure the state out. What made Dallas so right-wing? He kept asking the two men in the car with him that drizzly Friday morning in November. Why were they attacking him as a traitor? Why were they spitting on his people? One of his hosts, Congressman Jim Wright of Fort Worth, laid it out on the right-wing press in Dallas. Governor John Connally, the other politician in the car with him, the visiting president, chalked it up to the economy. Unlike a city like Fort Worth, a city of stockyards and factory floors where the visiting president had just gotten warmly cheered, the city of Dallas was filled with white-collar office buildings. People there all wanted to make it to the higher floor, wanted to move up to their insurance and financial companies. They were voting the way their bosses voted, voting their aspirations to get to the next floor. Who knows what makes one city so different from another politically? Jack Kennedy was just trying to sort it all out that morning. He was living the life of an American politician, trying to figure things out politically, trying to figure out what was in the water down there in Dallas that made some people so viciously right-wing.
Okay, there you have it, and the insinuation that it was something in the water that made people so viciously right-wing. And this is just more of the talking point, using JFK as a bouncing board for the larger attempt to demonize free speech and try to pin a lot of the extremist action on the rhetoric from various circles. You've seen it most recently with this accused White House shooter saying he viewed the Obama deception. That motivated him. You saw similar attempts with Jared Lee Loughner and that guy Poplovsky and a whole lot more. And Chris Matthews has really been one of the central people on that theme. Never mind the involvement of the CIA or all the unexplained questions. It was the general hatred in the population of Dallas. No, obviously there was a different kind of conspiracy going on there, although those factors were in place as well, but it's a complicated world. You also have Will Louis Freeh, the former FBI director, bungle the Penn State child sex abuse investigation. Very interesting because of his role in the FBI during Clinton's second term, all the things he helped cover up from Waco to Ruby Ridge on down, or allegedly helped to cover up. And it's interesting because you see in things like the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky scandal, people like, what was that guy's name who did the investigation? Kenneth Starr, a big Bohemian Grove family who goes there with other candidates like Newt Gingrich. Is there political sabotage going on behind these investigations, and will they ever uncover the truth? Well, I, for one, am not going to hold my breath. Also interesting, the rise of computerized contact lenses that will keep you up to date with news and text. Your iPhone will display text and imagery on new contacts. More of the coming technocratic society. That's all the time we have today. Stay tuned for rebroadcast. And tonight, special coverage of Ron Paul's rise in the polls on the Infowars Nightly News. Stay tuned and get the word out. Prisonplanet.tv. Free trial for 15 more days.